Welcome back to my writer's room, everyone. I am Matt Wallace, YouTube's resident angry writer, and thank you for taking a few minutes out of your day to come hang out with me here in my angry, lonely little writerly sanctum. I always appreciate that, I really do. Me not being naked on the vlog is brought to you, as always, by our t-shirt of the day. Today I'm styling my old school Triumph Motorcycles t-shirt, because who wouldn't rather be... Who wouldn't rather be mounted on a fantastically vibrating British bike, tearing hell up the switchbacks of some Mexican mountain, overlooking the ocean, reaching the summit of some great cliff, and just lying there and basking in the sun until time becomes meaningless? I know for many of you, probably sitting on the fantastically vibrating bike would be enough because you're perverts. But yeah, we could do it. We could do all of that right now. There's really nothing stopping us. What is it? What's holding you back? Sell everything you own. Buy the bike. Mexico is like, a few hours that way if you live where I live. Maybe it's further for you. But find your nearest Mexican equivalent. Ride there. Find the cliff. Go to the top. Bask in the sun till time becomes meaningless. What do you do after that? I don't know. I'm not here to solve all of your problems. I'm giving you options. That's what I do. It is February 8th, 2018. It's Thursday. You've almost made it to the end of the week. It's waiting there for you, just on the other side of the door, scratching demurely like a tempting cat. I don't know what I'm saying. I've drawn Hamshackle Pig, as you can see, buried up to the neck in sand there, with the waves rolling in. I don't know why I drew this, honestly, and if you know why I drew it, don't tell me. I don't want to know. I tweeted about having dreams of my teeth falling out, and I regret ever doing that. I don't want anyone to correctly or incorrectly interpret my dreams for me. I have to exist in the waking hours. I have to live this life. Knowing why I did this will not help me. It really won't. It'll just make things worse. So it is what it is. I drew what I drew, and we're just gonna move on and pretend everything's okay. And I'm fine with that. So getting ahead, that's a hell of a pursuit, isn't it? I was just thinking about that earlier today. At lunch, my wife and I were stress-eating cheesesteaks and cheese fries and talking about our Herculean efforts to get ahead in life and how hard we're working to achieve that. Get that phrase, that concept, getting ahead. It's a tenuous thing. It's an ever-evolving thing. It's an ever-changing concept for humans, depending on, where the crotch you were yanked out of happened to exist in what particular part of the world at a particular time. Back in the day, my ancestors, to get ahead means you stored enough food for the winter not to starve to death. That was getting ahead. Have we filled the coffers to a sufficient extent that we will not die before the ice melts? That was getting ahead to them. Nowadays, if you're really lucky, getting ahead means you've saved enough money to retire from wage indentured servitude by the time you're 55. If you're really unlucky, getting ahead means you find some way to pay for life-saving medication that our piece of shit government holds hostage from you until you can come up with the ransom money to save your own life. That's another version of getting ahead. It's very popular in America these days. For years I didn't think about getting ahead. That was not a concept that entered my whole transom. My thing for years, past adolescence, edging into adulthood, looking at a future of having to, at least spend another 50, 60 years on this planet if I'm lucky, and how I was going to do that. I was my whole thing was like success on my own terms. That's what I was looking for. It's what I came out to LA to pursue. It was what I was all about. I wasn't going to do what everyone else did. Like, if I had to be in a cubicle and wear a tie for the rest of my life, why even bother coming to the dance? That was not the tune that I wanted to dance to. So I was all about, I'll figure out a way to do the things that genuinely bring me joy to do, and I'll find a way to survive doing that. And it was all about, carving that out from the rocks. And I didn't care if I was poor. I didn't care if I didn't live in a great place. I didn't care if I was barely eking by. If I was able to survive doing what I like to do on my own terms and not having all my time sucked away Because that was the thing. I've always been very anti trading time for cash. That's like the biggest American industry. That's what it's become. Since we stopped making anything, because we don't actually make anything anymore, it's become about trading our time for money. And I always really objected to that concept. I was always very convinced that that's not what life was supposed to be. It's not what human existence, as finite as it is supposed to be about. So I rejected that out of hand, and I was just like, if I can just survive doing what I like to do, that was my only metric for getting ahead, even though I didn't think of it that way. I just thought of it as seeking success on my own terms, and success, I've come to realize, really just equals survival. That was my only metric. I had no bar. I had no real ambition beyond that. And because of that, I had no real plan for years. And I realize that now. Felt like I did at the time. Felt like I absolutely knew what I was doing. I knew the work that I wanted to do that was important to me. I was learning the industries that I was working in, doing that, whether it was publishing or entertainment. And I felt like I knew what I was doing. But I really didn't, because I had not yet happened upon any kind of desire for anything better for myself beyond simply surviving doing what I wanted to do. That was the baseline, and that was not helping me out. I've come to realize that years later. I thought I had it all figured out, but I didn't even have a first step figured out yet. Now, of course, so what changed all of that was getting married to Nikki, who is now my wife. Not the idea of marriage or some like imposed impetus or responsibility that comes with the idea of what that is, but the fact that I chose voluntarily to bind my life and my destiny to someone else, and by proxy, their fate and their destiny and their life was bound to mine. I wasn't just responsible for myself anymore. That completely changed my outlook, as it is wont to do. And this is not a new story. I'm sure many of you out there understand exactly what I'm talking about, have gone through that exact kind of epoch in your life where you realize, oh shit, whatever happens to me happens to this other person now. I have to re-examine the metrics by which I judge success and comfort and livability in my own existence. And that was the proverbial kick in the ass for me when I reassessed the plan that I didn't have and came up with an actual plan to replace it. And that plan does involve heavily the concept of getting ahead in life, getting ahead of the game as I'm choosing to play it. And that's the thing. Nobody's making me do any of this. No one's making me pursue, a home ownership or a retirement fund or a career in a corporate landscape. No one's making me do any of those things. I'm taking it upon myself to play by a prescribed set of rules. And you can screw around a lot within that. It's like the Matrix, some rules you can bend, some rules you can break. And if you know which are which, you can create fantastical opportunities within that structure. But I'm still choosing to exist within that structure. And that means that I had to completely reassess my outlook on living and how I was going to do that. What I've learned about myself at 35 that I didn't know at 30 or at 25 or certainly any younger than that is that I am perfectly capable within any system you drop me in. I really am. I just have to make the choice to function within the parameters of that system. That's all it is. That's all that has ever held me back, is rejecting the idea of playing by a prescribed set of rules in whatever industry or whatever situation I found myself. And I was always very much about that youthful idea of not doing what you're told and rejecting authority in all its forms. And I still cling to the remnants of that. When Nikki tells me to do something instead of asking me to do it, that comes out like that, man. We can get into it over that. I make it all about her tone, and she makes it all about me and my infantile response to authority. Neither of us is completely wrong, but it's just, that's not something that ever goes away. But on the grander scheme of things, in terms of living my life and in terms of my career and in terms of my future and my marriage and my home, I just had to make the choice that those were all things I wanted, and all of those things exist within a certain structure where Nikki and I choose to live and the conditions under which we choose to live. And I had to commit myself to the idea that that's the game I was playing. And once I did that, I found my life got a lot easier. I got a lot more successful, and I was able to do things that I previously thought I would be completely unable to do. Not only do things, but just I thought I'd be completely unable to function within that kind of structure. And that wasn't it. It was always me. It was always a choice that I made, and it's always a choice that we make. And that's either what holds us back or takes us forward. And choosing to play the game, my personality is such that once I've made that choice, I want to win. It doesn't matter what I'm doing or what I'm striving for. I want to win. And I've always had that. It's just my standards for what constituted victory in my 20s have rapidly changed now that I'm 35. That baseline is no longer so base. The bar is way the hell up here, and there's nothing between me and an air, and I have to figure out how to navigate my fat ass up there. So the challenges are greater, but because I've committed to accepting those challenges and accepting the rules of the game that present them, I know I can beat them, because that's all it ever took, was just to make that choice. And everything I've accrued, in throughout my life, growing up, my personal evolution, the places I've been, the things I've learned, the kind of person I am, my personal stock, all of that will naturally be triggered and carry me the rest of the way. It was just making that choice. And I'm glad I did. I really am. And now I'm able to embrace the idea of getting ahead. I may still resent, in a very youthful, anti-capitalist way, the parameters of what it takes, especially in Southern California, where, they try to tax you out of existence. But the fact is, we're here and we're doing it, and I choose to win, and that's just all there is to it. So that's getting ahead, and it's not the same for everybody. It's sure as shit isn't equal for everybody, and if you're someone who's been dealt a much shittier hand in life, whatever conditions those are, I'm sorry you got to play with that detriment, man, because the rules I'm talking about and the games I'm talking about, they can be harsh on people who are not born with a leg up or born with an equal plane, which not all of us are. So that's just getting ahead for me. Your journey, your trip, your choices, they're going to be all different, and they need to be all different. And I hope that you're able to find a version of this game that you can play and win. I don't know how you do it. I'm not going to pretend I do, but just know that it is something I'm thinking about. You're in my thoughts, and I'm rooting for you, especially if you're on Team Hamshackle, because Team Hamshackle gets first priority with me. That's just the way it is. I think I've rambled on enough for today, so we're going to cut it off here. Again, you've almost made it to the end of the week. The slog is almost over. The summit is in sight. The horizon is behind you. Just keep going a little further, and you're going to make it. And I'll be here to round out the week right there beside you. Until then, please like, share, subscribe, leave a comment, let me know what you thought of this episode of the vlog, what you're thinking of the channel, ask me a question, suggest a topic for me to talk about. I just like hearing from you. Hit the comments. Just whatever you want to tell me. Let me know how your day's going. You got a good recipe for Yankee pot roast? I'd love to hear it. Just whatever you want to do. Until next time, I am Matt Wallace, and I will see you all tomorrow.